So let's wrap up here, Vince, with the scoring offense against the scoring defense. This is the biggest mismatch on paper right here, because actually Notre Dame's numbers, that 30.8 at 58th ranking is a tad misleading.
Because it was all defensive points in Wisconsin.
Right. If Notre Dame didn't have that, they would be averaging 26.6 points per game. If you take away those three, that would rank them 83rd with Western Michigan.
Yeah, that's where they belong. Yeah. That's where the scoring offense belongs. And we touted that this offense had the possibility of breaking the modern day record for scoring and blah, 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 blah.
Looking pretty stupid now.
We're looking real dumb right now because we had no idea that the offensive line could be this poor. And that's really what it comes down to.
We did. And deep in our minds, we did.
I didn't think it was going to be this bad. I didn't. I knew they were going to take a step back from last year. And again, we were having discussions about the offensive line in 2019, but they weren't this bad. You know what I mean? And I thought that, okay, maybe they'll regress to 2019, but not to where they are now. I mean, just
Is it like every time we mention RPO, this comment comes up?
Yes, I saw it too.
I'm going to explain it again, Joel, or I'm going to say it again.
Searcher Green actually came to our defense and said it's not always the quarterback doing the running.
Our RPO, run pass option, okay? I just want to make it clear. And Joel, I would encourage you to search for the RPO 101, the football 101 we did it on an RPO. Actually, Vince, while I'm explaining,
you want me to find the link?
Can you find that link? If you just go to our page and type in, if you go to our admin page and at the top of the search button, if you just type in RPO, the two will come out. Find the one that I did, and Joel, we'll put it in here for you. RPO and read zone are two different things. Now, there are concepts in which you can do an RPO that is like a triple option where it's a run, pass, or keep option by the quarterback. But an RPO is essentially you are executing a running play with your running back. Okay, so like you can run our inside zone, you can run outside zone. I've heard Nick Saban say that he doesn't like outside zone with RPOs. I do, and his offensive coordinator last year did, Steve Sarkisian. You can run it off buck sweep. You can run it off really any action you can run it off of. Notre Dame tends to run it a lot on their inside zone is when they run it a lot. But essentially, you are blocking a called run play. So inside zone, outside zone, whatever. And so then the quarterback pre-snap is going to get his eyes on whatever defender they've decided. It could be an overhang player. It could be a linebacker. It could be a safety. It just depends on what your read is for the run versus the passes that you have incorporated. Now, your pass concepts have to be built on what works against a specific defense. But essentially, the offensive line and the running back are running a running play. So if you call an RPO, and I've got Kyron Williams in the game, the R is for Kyron, not Jack Cohn. Alabama had a quarterback last year in Mac Jones who, going into the playoff, had -9 rushing yards on the season. Okay. And they ran RPOs as much as about any team in the country last year. Alabama did. It has nothing to do with the quarterback running per se. Now, can you make it to where you have the quarterback running? Absolutely you can. But it's not about the quarterback running. It's about handing it off to a running back, or based on what that guy does, pulling it and throwing it outside.
Yes.
Sometimes in Ian Book, when Ian Book did it a lot in 2018, he would actually make the decision before the snap because it would be like a quick out to Chase Claypool. The corner would be off and there's nobody in the window. So you just catch it. And I mean, the running back's doing his thing, but you just catch it and just get it out quickly.
Just go, because the outside guys are running routes and they're ready to catch the ball. I mean,
And so like the RPO that Notre Dame did on Saturday where they were running the inside zone with the double wide stack, if you were going to throw that, you weren't going to carry out the fake. You were just going to pull it and throw it. You were just going to catch it and throw it. Okay. So that's what an RPO is. It has not a read zone is when you are carrying out the fake and reading like the end. If he crashes, the quarterback pulls and gets it outside. Okay. But that's not the case. And then, but here's the thing with that comment searcher is
not with Notre Dame. Not with Notre Dame.
Not a problem at Notre Dame. Not a problem at all at Notre Dame. No. Number two, a lot of Notre Dame's RPOs are quick game based RPOs. You're seeing more of that being called down the field. Notre Dame had that called against them, and it was a bad call.
Right.
Because If you engage with a guy at the line and you drive him downfield,
that's not a player downfield.
That shouldn't be an ineligible man downfield, and that's exactly what happened. However, a lot of teams, like especially the air raid teams, they will throw post routes off RPO.
Right.
Like Jared Goff got hit like 30 times in his last year at Cal, throwing backside post routes. I mean, he would get it off, but he would take shots. Throwing deep post routes off RPOs. Notre Dame doesn't do that. And when they do, it's quick. So I talked about how they did that in 17 and 18 with Wimbush and Ian Book, but it would be quick. It'd be like ride it, and that safety comes out, and you're pulling it, and you're throwing a real quick post. It's not like a skinny post over top. I'm pulling that sucker and going.
Right.
So it's not really an issue at Notre Dame unless they're just being dumb.
It's also not an issue because they get no push. So.
Right. I mean, a guy just starts waddling downfield for no reason because there's no one to block. You know what I mean? You've watched this line play. You know exactly where I'm coming from.
I know exactly where you're coming from. We do have a super chat I want to get to, Brian.
Yeah, pull them up. I've had a couple. I want to make sure
Bill.
we're listening.
Bill says, I would never downplay the game plan and fundamentals, technique, but this might be a game where one of the biggest factors is an Irish, quote, manhood check, unquote. And you know what? After last week, I don't disagree with you because it's not everybody, obviously. It's not everybody. And so I don't want to throw everybody under the bus, but just an overall feeling that Notre Dame just wasn't there to play. Like I did not have that feeling that everybody was fired up and, so I don't disagree with you, Bill. I kind of like where you're coming from here.
I'm going to somewhat disagree with you a little bit.
Okay.
Just because I just like disagreeing with you sometimes, Vince. We agree too much. Sometimes I got to disagree. But in all seriousness, and I actually think you'll agree with where I'm coming from. I don't disagree with you that there needs to be from a leadership standpoint amongst the players. Hey guys, and I'll be honest with you. I was told this at times in 2018 that like during the 2018 season where the guys were like, hey, I don't care what they say. I don't care what coaches are doing. I don't care about whatever. We're going to go out and play. Right. This wasn't because of a lack of faith in the coaches. It was more of hey, you had leadership that said it doesn't matter what the coaches call or what the coaches do. This is up to us to go out there and out hustle, out hit, out fight, out scrap, out claw. That's what I mean by that in 2018. The way I initially said it, it came across as like I was saying, like they didn't have faith in their coaches, and I'm going to get to that point. That's not what I mean in 2018. It was more of hey, it doesn't matter what they call. This is up to us to get it done.
Yeah, okay? Right.
When I watch this team play, like there's, especially on offense, more so than defense, like there's a colossal lack of confidence in themselves and in what's being given to them. I don't think there's a lot of confidence, in my opinion, on offense right now in the leadership. And when you don't think you're being put in a position to be successful, it's going to be real hard for you to kind of man up and say, hey, let's go do this. Because you're like, yeah, okay, I'm going to go play hard, but then we're going to have some dumb play call that's going to get us beat, or, the offensive line's not going to block. And, it's hard for me to kind of say, well, hey, you're 18, 19, 20. If you don't have faith in the guy next to you, that you're going to need to do that. But I think the other thing that I see too, Vince, where I do agree with you is I don't know if, as much as I love the defense, I don't know if there's an Alohi Gilman on this defense right now. I don't know if there's a Drew Tranquil on this defense right now. Somebody that's is gonna get in your face,
right,
and demand more,
right.
And that's a big question that I have about the defense. Because the one thing about that 2018 defense is whenever they got into a situation where they needed a stop, they always came up with a stop. Right? Mm-hmm. This team has – the one flaw of this defense has been that hasn't been how they are. I mean, they gave away a lead late in the fourth quarter against Toledo. They gave a lead to Wisconsin in the fourth quarter. Look what they did against Florida State, allowing Florida State to get back in. Look at this past weekend against Cincinnati.
Yeah.
That's a question mark. And
it's a disturbing trend now that you put it all together like that.
And I need to see who the players are.
Yeah.
Who are gonna be the Alohi Gilman of 2018, the Drew Tranquil of 2018, that are gonna say, hey, boys, this is on us. I don't care what Coach Freeman calls. We're going to go out there and dominate on this play. And I don't see that kind of fire on this defense consistently enough. And so
agreed.
That part I agree with you on. My concern with offense is, as you very well know, if you don't have faith in the people leading you, it's like, do you really want to go in that battle when you know this plan is flawed?
Sure.
Do you really want to leave it all out there when you know the result's probably going to be getting punched right in the face? If I'm a quarterback. So that's something where they're going to have to win back the trust of the players. But that's also going to have to be where leadership says, hey, this isn't about them, right? I don't care what they call. You go out and physically beat that guy in front of you. It doesn't matter what they call. I don't know if that leadership exists right now on the football team. And that is a bit of a concern for me.
Sure. We got a couple comments I just want to roll through here real quick, Brian. We have to give our advantage, right?
Yes.
We have to give our advantage here. I'll go first since you went first the last couple times. Until I see something different, I've got to go advantage Virginia Tech here. Notre Dame's got to score some points offensively. They have to, and they've done worse and worse and worse and worse every single game. And they have to put it in the end zone. They have to do a better job of that.
Yeah.
They haven't done it, and they need to be more efficient. They haven't done it, and until they do, it's advantage Virginia Tech for me.
Notre Dame has gone from 41 to 32 to 27 to 20 to 13 points on offense.
Yeah. There you go.
I mean, like literally have, like, you talk about getting worse each game, like literally they've gotten quantifiably worse. Now, the only difference is at least last week they went up in yards compared to the previous week. Still. But but it was still down from the previous 4 games, like 3 games.
Right.
So like yards per game, it was 431, then 449, then 343, then down to 242, and then back up to 341. Yards per play went 6.2, 6.0, 5.2, 3.5, 4.6. So they've gotten progressively worse. Teams have got the book on them, and until they can prove that they have enough, that this coaching staff is good enough to say, hey, look, let's think outside the box. Without just – I mean, there's a right and a wrong way to change what you're doing. The wrong way is to just start throwing a bunch of new crap out there, like protections you've never used or schemes you've never used, or we're going to just we're going to go turn into an air raid now. I mean, that's not what we're talking about. It's about taking what you have, and maybe your emphasis is going to shift.
Yes, exactly.
Because of what the strengths of your team. They have these floods and levels concepts. They've used them effectively this year. They're just still too much oriented on horizontal stretch as opposed to vertical stretches, right? Horizontal meaning left to right, vertical meaning top down. And so the things are there. We're not asking for them to reinvent the wheel. We're asking for you to shift your emphasis. We know you can go to 11 personnel. We know you can go 20 personnel. We know you can go 21 personnel. We know you can get your running backs lined up outside. All those different things that we've seen them do. It's just do that stuff more, and then do some wrinkles within that. Add some adjustments within that. You have the option concept. It's okay to add the nod to it if you haven't already done that. That's easy. It takes a day of practice. So I've done that with D3 kids. If my D3 receivers can do that, why can't the Notre Dame receivers do that? You're a high school receiver.
Yep.
The point being, it's not a shot on the Notre Dame players. It's just those things are fixable during the season. Changing from a pro style offense to an air raid is not, I'm just using that hypothetically.
Sure.
It's not what you're going to do. You're not going to all of a sudden start running a million read zones if you haven't practiced read zone. You know what I mean? So the things that we're asking them to do is more of shift your emphasis. If they shift their emphasis, then they can have the advantage in this game. But going based off what we have seen now, Vince, there's no way anyone that's being objective, anyone that's being honest in their evaluation can say that Notre Dame has an advantage based on what they've done. And it's not just about numbers. Context matters, right? But Virginia Tech's played some pretty good offenses so far this year. And they've at least played one, and they did a pretty good job in that game.
Right. Yep.
And they held North Carolina. What was it? 7 points.
Yeah.
North Carolina went out and scored 59 the next 2 games. Right.
Right.
So until is Notre Dame capable of winning this matchup? You betcha.
Absolutely. Yes. They're favored still, I believe. I mean, they should be.
Can I give them the advantage right now? No, I can't. So
I will just D-Rock had some pretty funny stuff in there, school related that nobody else is going to understand, but I appreciate it, D-Rock, because we both come from an education background, and we actually had our SPED BIP signings this morning, so you'll appreciate that. So I understand exactly where you're coming from. But I don't know if you want to stick around, Bryan, but I've got to hit the road.
I'm going to get a couple comments here.
Okay, cool. Everybody, I appreciate you joining us. Hey, we're looking forward here. We're moving forward. We got the defense versus the Virginia Tech offense tomorrow. That's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you come back tomorrow at 12:30. I will see everybody tomorrow. But it's been a lot of fun, man. Thanks.